Welcome to Thoughts and Teens in Focus. I'm your host, Patricia Tree. And today, Patricia has a very special guest, young and handsome man. And he's going to tell us more about himself, the project that he's doing within the community, and how he loves to help the elderly. He's no other than Christopher Banks. And Christopher is running also for the Assembly seat of 2012. He wants to become an elected official, and I think that we should support him because all young people have an opportunity to make our community a better place. Mr. Banks, welcome to Thoughts and Teens in Focus. I know that you're not a tot or a teen, but you will be able to give us some ideas, and I like what you're doing, that you're taking care of the elderly, which this is something that as a youth, as a role model, you can able to encourage younger people to be a part with the elderly and take care of the elderly, which is not being done in our community. And this step that you're taking is a very good, very, very good step, because I need someone like you to take care of me when I get older. So once again, we welcome you to Thoughts and Teens, and we ask of you to give us some information about yourself, and we go right into our questions.
All right. Well, first of all, I'm the executive director for East New York United Concerned Citizens. East New York United Concerned Citizens was founded about 7 years ago, and it was founded with a brother named James Chestnut, Richard Swinson, and Claudette Elliott. And one of our focuses has always been the senior population. And as a young person, you don't really find young people who are interested in helping seniors and wanting to help them age independently, provide recreational programming for them, and really esteem seniors to do keep them active and just living a good life. So one of the things that we focused on doing, and one of our main programs that we've run over the past couple of years, was our senior grooming program, which we pick seniors up on every Tuesday to get free manicures, free pedicures, and as I said, we keep them their self-esteem high, and we keep them going, and we do housing advocacy for seniors. We assist seniors with anything that they may need help with. They can come to East New York United Concerned Citizens, our office, which is located at 457 New Lots Avenue, and get the help that they need. I've also spent a portion of time also helping the youth population too. We have a scholarship program called Dollars for Scholars, where we give out scholarships at about 12 different schools in the East New York community, and we focus on struggling students who are not making the A's and the B's, but students who are making the D's and the C's. And we esteem them. We give them a presentation at the graduation, and we give them a savings bond. So we want them to understand the value of money, as opposed to buying them sneakers or just giving them hard cash in their hand. We want to show them that if they can get into the bonds market by getting a savings bond, and really pay attention to see how these things can bring back a return. And we also have an internship program called Civic Awareness, Civic Responsibility Youth Partnership. And since I've been big on over the past couple of years, teaching young people or showing young people that public service is essential and important to their growth and development, we started this internship program teaching young people the value and the importance of public service and what it is to really run a nonprofit organization and to give back to their community.
Well, you have heard a lot from Christopher Banks, and he is running to become the assemblies of the district of
the 60th Assembly District.
The 60th and the 70th district. Christopher, as a youth person, I know there are a lot of youths within your community.
Yes.
How do you focus on working with youths within the community?
Well, one of the things that we done, as I said, through our civic awareness program, we plan an event every year. It's an intergenerational back to school festival that is held, and that's kind of like the lead up to the end of the civic awareness program, where the youths, they actually work in the office during the summer. We plan about 4 trips, and they're all community civic-minded trips where they visit the local community board. We go down to City Hall. We tour City Hall. We tour Gracie Mansion, and we also go down to Borough Hall and do a tour of Borough Hall. And what I kind of want to get young folks into is to learning how government works, what are the entities that they have to pay attention to, and you kind of make it interesting because you make the simplest thing, like a pothole, an issue that may be facing residents in East New York or different folks throughout the community, and you kind of get them geared. Well, how can they affect an average person in East New York without doing something big, but maybe big to that particular person? So one of the things we wanted to show folks, show the youth, is that they can get involved. They can, access 311. They can go to government and petition government to get things done. If it's a community center that's needed, more resources for the community center, more resources, or just even better the streets. Mm-hmm. Because we all walk the streets, and we all want to make sure that we're walking the streets. We're not going through potholes or falls in the street. So simple things like that kind of and get the kids interested. And then the fun part of it is then organizing this great big back to school festival where they get to actually help organize it from the beginning to the start, and get to see how giving back to the community, packing the book bags, organizing the entertainment for the day of the event, and then really servicing the community. It really kind of gets them, get them interested.
Interesting into getting themselves involved and being
Yes.
a part of the community. I know that you are with the elderly.
Yes.
And what I would like to know, how is the elderly reaction to you as you work with them? How they feel about it,
Right.
their motivation and their curiosity. Why is this young man taking so much care of us?
Right.
Why? Tell us something. Why?
Well, I think if you go to most of the senior centers here in East New York, excuse me, you would see that the seniors are very receptive to our organization. Most of the seniors look at me as a grandson, someone who's caring for them. And one thing I've learned with seniors, they really don't want nothing. They don't want a big car. They don't want
They
nothing.
had the days of car.
They're not into big things. It's the simple things that can get them to really get interested in what you're doing.
Okay.
But it's a birthday card.
A
Going
birthday
to the
cake.
senior center, taking them a birthday cake. As I said, getting their nails done, manicures, pedicures, getting their hair done free of charge. Those things they like, and it keeps them going. It keeps them feeling good. And as I said, it's something that definitely plays a role in helping seniors, understand that they're not forgotten.
Yeah.
That even in their grand estate,
They're still there.
they're still part of this society, and that they still should be remembered.
That is what I always say. We have the elderly. They have a wealth of knowledge, but
Yes.
they're not utilized to help to rebuild the community. They're not utilized in programs. Instead of, I know that a lot of groups will go to visit, like the zoo and go to the Six Flags.
Yes.
What about visiting the elderly home? They have knowledge, they have wisdom that they can help.
I agree.
And visiting the homes, the younger people understand that their life will be in that stage sometime in the future
That's right.
with the help of God. So they should able to start taking and have that respect for elderly people, because you show them where they will be one day.
That's right.
They will able to know and to able to do something much more productive for the elderly. Let's talk about your interest of becoming the next assemblyman for the 67th district, you said? 68th district.
68.
As a young
68.
man, you have a very high ambition, a very high IQ to becoming the next assembly person for the district.
Yes. Well, recently, back in January, I had made a decision that I was going to run for the New York State Assembly, representing East New York, parts of Brownsville, and parts of Canarsie. And, knowing, being in the community, understanding it, and working in it for the past 8 or 9 years, I came to the conclusion that there was definitely a lack of leadership in that position. And the only way I think you can really be, besides being an active participant in it, being an active participant and actually running for office, there's some ways you gotta put your hat in and throw your hat into something and really get involved. So one of the things that I've always said is that I wanted to run for office and get involved and help my community by creating policies and passing laws that will greatly impact our community. I mean, East New York is dealing with a whole host of issues: high unemployment. There's a deficit with our senior activities. There's also a clear distrust in our community with the political leadership that exists. So we have engaged in this campaign. We have our primaries as September the 13th. And any East New York residents that are looking at this, I want you to truly analyze and look at the leadership that exists, and tell us, but if you believe that a change is needed, and not only that change is needed, but we need to get in there and truly work to better some of the institutions and build up better and greater East New York, then I'm asking you for your support.
Okay. Well, you made your point, and that is thing. Let's talk about rebuilding of East New York.
Yes.
Most time, and most people are afraid to get into East New York because they're afraid that there is a lot of guns and a lot of killing and a lot of fighting and a lot of things. How can the police work with the community to make East New York a better community?
Well, one thing I've always been, I'm not anti-police, and I'm not I'm for having some type of law enforcement in the community. But I think there needs to be a comprehensive approach to the situation, or the high crime situation in our community, because at the same time, as I said, we need the police to get out there and make sure that order is established, that our seniors are not being abused, that folks, period, have a place to have people to call when an emergency or something does take place, and they do need the help. Because I'll be the first, I'm not going to lie and say that there are bad folks in East New York. There are folks who will rob and steal. But the delicate balance is that how do we police the community and work with the community and provide protection for the community, but also at the same time respect the community that we're policing, or respect the community that we're working with. So we need to truly get back to community policing and get police to understand that when you're not occupying East New York, you're actually working in East New York, and that you're also part of this community. In order to be part of this community, you have to develop a respect for us. So when things do take place, folks are not afraid to call the police. It's a relationship where we can reach out to you and say we need help, as opposed to saying, well, I'm not talking to the cops because I don't trust them. So we need to get back to that point. So I'm a big supporter of community policing. I'm against any type of stop and frisk policy by this current administration, because it has done nothing but instill fear and distrust amongst the community that is supposed to entrust the police.
Okay, but I'm glad you talk about that point, because East New York has actually deteriorated.
Yes.
Because of the relationship of unproductive person within the administration of the governance of East New York.
Yes.
And that is causing a lot of problem, because when things are being done, governance come in to support antagonism of
Right.
gangs
Right.
when you're supposed to be helping the policeman to erase this type of
Blight.
in the community.
Right.
I don't want to say any word, but to come and help the policeman, because police are there to help us.
Yes.
The police would only come when somebody is dead, because why? When the police come out there to think, everybody come out and they're railing up and they're going down, and then elected officials
Do the same
get
thing.
on the bandwagon and start bumping. So you tell me the policeman will go there to help? The policeman will come when they're done dead and investigate who killed.
That's right.
Because that is what is going on in East New York. And I'm afraid to say that East New York is a black community. I'm not saying people of color. We don't have people of color.
Right.
Black people.
I agree.
And that is what black people are being demoralized as the criminals in
Yes.
East New York. All may not be, but they have potholes.
Yes.
And if they are supported
Right.
by elected officials who see them as gangsters and think, how could they ever be, East New York be thing? You want to keep something in East New York, everybody say they're not going to East New York. You know, it's just a stain, and they have good people are living in East New York.
And let me also add, there are a lot of
Talk
districts.
about it. Let us talk about you
Yes.
and what you will be doing to make the change in the community, because we have to focus now on you, because
Right.
you're the one who are going there to make a change. We can't focus on others who are there, because you are the one who got to show people
How
what
to.
change you can do.
I agree.
We cannot linger on the
Yes.
the past or what is going on. We got to linger on the production that will come into the community to stop the gangs,
Yeah,
stop
I
the
agree.
shooting, stop the fighting, stop everything that is not right. How can the community work together with the police
Right.
to make a better
A community.
community? We
Right.
know they have potholes of policing who will report when people make things, and they have the gangs. And if gangs can only rise up if governance,
Right.
the governance of the community support
Has to
the
get in
gangsters.
line, right.
And if the governance of the community do not support the gangsters, there will be a big change. But every gangster is being erected or
Yes.
being mobilized or being supported by the governance of the community.
I agree. One of the things that I think we need to, East New York is a big family. And I think one of the things we do as families, we all have family members in our families that we need to hold accountable. And one of the things I think I'm asking the voters of East New York to do is to really look at our community and to really evaluate where and look at where we should be as opposed to what folks are telling where we should be. One of the things that we're lacking in the community centers in the East New York community, every time you turn around, we have shelters. We're oversaturated with shelters, and that are plaguing our community. And not to say that I'm against shelters, but I believe everyone has a right. If you fall short and you come on hard times, there should be a way, opportunity for you to come into a shelter or get housing. But what East New York is facing right now is oversaturation of shelters. We're top 3 in the borough of Brooklyn with shelters. But when you look at our community centers, they're falling apart. You look at our libraries; they're being cut left and right. East New York is still considered a dumping ground.
But tell me something, don't you believe that why they're throwing so much shelters inside it, because the action or the progress or the community itself, the way they behave, so it become now just a dumping ground. Let East New York, because everybody says East New York is not good. East New York is not good. What programs do you believe that can make a difference within the community, so that the people in East New York can able to rise up back and become more productive? Do you believe that governance need to be changed?
Well,
do you believe that elected officials is not taking full responsible of East New York? Do you believe that elected officials are afraid to come into East New York? The policemen, they depend on the policemen, and policemen are afraid too, so the policemen do not They're not going there empty-handed. They go to kill and to get rid. Because if you are in the community and you can't behave yourself and you call the policeman, then the policeman is not going to come there to play and find out who wrong. The policeman is going to shoot first and then ask questions.
Well, listen, I agree solely that the leadership, the political leadership needs to change. So we as folks, we get jobs. You can't tell someone preach independence if you're dependent. It's hard to do that without having some type of income coming in.
Type of
so
support.
Before we can talk about self sufficiency and independence and this whole black independence, let's bring jobs to our community so we can really teach folks what it is to bring an income into the household, what it is to wake up on time to be at work.
And I think what happens, centers have a workforce that they can help within the community, but all that comes through the governance. And if the governance is, a community could only be bad if the governance is bad.
I agree.
So when the governance is bad, there is no type of community development or community resources, because you become a dumping ground for the people in the community, and good people will suffer because of bad. Your ancestors or your grandparents, they are from Trinidad. Give us some ideas about you. Did you ever went to Trinidad?
Yes, I visited Trinidad when I was much younger, as a young child. My mother, my grandmother actually, my grandfather and grandmother immigrated from Trinidad with 5 young kids, and I'm actually a first generation coming from the Caribbeans. And like I said, my experience has been great. I mean, having the Caribbean training, it has grounded me so much. I was able to go to school, get educated, and saw the need to want to give back to my community. And as I said, they one thing I can say, I thank my mother for really grounding me, giving me principles and really giving me that foundation. So I understood what it was to persevere, to believe in that you just don't get handouts, that you have to work for whatever you need to get, and things don't come easy like that. And the struggle is good, but you should struggle to be better. So that's one thing I always thank my mother, and I love my mother and my grandparents for their struggles. I was able to struggle a little, and then,
but you were able to overcome it.
Overcome.
Okay, now what would be your advice to unproductive parents or uneducated parents, or parents who just say, look, life is not worth it more,
right.
It's affecting their children? What about your ability to help the community with parents and child relationship, where parents could be educated?
Community, I mean, as I said, I call it diamond in the rough, and there's so much potential in East New York. There's so many folks in East New York that want to work and want to just contribute to society. What I really will encourage parents to do is to get involved. Take the time out to go to your PTA meetings. Take the time out to get involved in just different school meetings, because the Bible says that we perish for lack of knowledge. And if parents don't see the need to get involved from the school level and understand that it takes a village to raise a child, and it's important that we don't get caught up in fashion and all this stuff that is really plaguing our community, and we're not instead of pushing morals, we're pushing fashion, we're pushing what the TV says to push, and but it's important that, as I said, parents get back involved. Parents take control of their house and not allow their kids to run them. And this whole idea of being friends with your child, I mean, my mother wasn't a friend to me. She was my mother.
Yes, that is true. A mother must be a mother. Mother must take the responsibility.
Right.
As a youth and a young person, I know that you had experience with youth members. What would be your advice to young men? Because the path that you have taken as a young man is you have become a role model within the community.
Thank you.
That you are running for an office that will help other young people. I mean, the aged are gone, the middle age are about to go to the age
Seniors,
age,
right.
and the young ones, the little baby ones, are coming up, and will be looking to you, because when they see you, they see Barack Obama. So when they see you, they want to know that they have a role model.
Yes.
How would you encourage other young people to become role models for youths, and how would you encourage the little tiny tots to become good citizens and role models too for other
Well,
youths?
starting from the youngest, they need to listen to their parents. And that's first thing and first and foremost. Honor your parents, listen to them, and if your parents have made mistakes, learn from their mistakes. Don't try to make the same mistakes and think you're going to do better, because it will definitely put you at a disadvantage. So learn from your parents' mistakes and just don't make those mistakes that they made. Use it as a teaching tool. For the younger men, like between the ages of 15, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. I'm still in my 20s. I'm 28 years old right now. And one of the things that I've encouraged young kids to do is to get your education, stay in school, take advantage of programs that are there to help you, mentoring programs that do exist. The worst thing I think you can do as a young child is just totally cut yourself off from society.
Thank you very much for being on our show. Thank you very
Ms.
much
Trim. I really appreciate
for giving your advice to our young people, our older folks. I do hope that you're able to have young people, especially the small tiny tots, visit the elderly,
Yes.
see how they're taking care, and I think that from that they will have a sense of value. And if you get into office, and with the help of dress with uniform for school,
I agree.
dress with uniform for school.
It does
If
a
the
lot.
Jews can wear the uniform to school, what do our black people?
Right.
Watch it in. And is the Jews' children going to be the policemen and the prison officers to lock them down there? Their children are all dressed in the uniform.
Yes.
So why is it that black people refuse to let their children wear uniform and encourage the system
Wear
to have
jeans.
them not to wear uniform?
right.
You want to tell me a uniform is a jeans and a jersey? Come on. We need to get out of that.
I agree.
People need to get up. Y'all need to stand up and say, no more of that, no more of this. Either you wear uniform or you're not going into school.
That's right. And I think if they did that, that would definitely make a big difference. As I said, parents need to take control of their homes, and children should not be telling parents, how they should be living their life. I mean, at the end of the day, I think the parents play a role, and it's so important that we get back to basics. So I encourage.
Thank you, our viewers, for being with us and sharing and listening to our guest, Miss Christopher Banks, and giving his ideas, his views, and to let others know what a role modelship is. And
Thank you so much for having me, and really appreciate it.
in Thoughts and Teens in Focus, I'm your host, Patricia Trim, and my guest was Christopher Banks. From Thoughts and Teens, we say goodbye, and we hope to see you next time. Tune in and have a wonderful time. From Thoughts and